9 Harsh Realities of Being a Dexter Fan. You ever notice how being a Dexter fan feels less like following a TV show and more like being trapped in one of Dexter's kill rooms? The plastic sheets are our nostalgia, the duct tape is Showtime's decisions, and every time we think we're safe, bam, they drop another plot twist or cancellation that leaves us bleeding on the floor. And let me tell you, after nearly 20 years of Dexter, spin-offs, prequels, and sequels, there are some harsh realities we all need to face. Realities that hurt, realities that sting, realities that you probably don't want to admit. But deep down, you know they're true. And here's the shocking part, it's not just one harsh reality. There are 9. 9 brutal truths that prove being a Dexter fan is almost as painful as being on Dexter's table. Some of these are obvious, others are secrets buried beneath the surface like blood slides in his little wooden box. But once I lay them out, you won't be able to unsee them. Now, let's rewind for a second. I still remember when I first discovered Dexter back in the day. I binged the first 4 seasons like a maniac, sitting in the dark with my laptop glowing like I was watching forbidden footage from the FBI vault. I'd tell myself, just one more episode. And the next thing I knew it was 4 a.m. and I was questioning if I might have my own dark passenger. But here's the thing, after season 4, something happened, something snapped. And if you're honest, you felt it too. That brings us to the first harsh reality of being a Dexter fan, the fall off after season 4. Let's be blunt, season 4 was the peak. The Trinity Killer wasn't just a villain, he was an experience. John Lithgow's Arthur Mitchell was terrifying and oddly charming at the same time. He was so perfect, so intricately tied to Dexter's personal life, that every single villain after him felt like a cheap knockoff toy you'd buy at a gas station. And I know some of you are already typing, but season 7 was underrated. Yes, Isaac Serco was good, Hannah McKay was interesting, Lumen had potential, but let's not lie to ourselves. The tension never reached those Trinity heights again. Dexter went from genius crime thriller to, wait, Deb is in love with Dexter now? Territory. That wasn't just a stumble, that was Dexter face, planting in broad daylight with the entire Miami Metro watching. So here's the pain point. When we say Dexter is one of the greatest shows ever made, it comes with a giant asterisk. Because those last 4 seasons, they dragged the show's reputation down like a body bag in the bay. And that hurts to admit. It's like being in love with someone who peaked in high school. You can't stop remembering the glory days. But the reality is they never hit that peak again. And speaking of peaks, here's harsh reality number 2. Dexter may never replicate the Trinity Killer. That's the forbidden knowledge none of us want to say out loud. Trinity wasn't just a character, he was lightning in a bottle. His dual life as a family man and a monster was the perfect mirror to Dexter himself. And once you've struck that kind of gold, how do you go back? It's almost like Trinity broke the show by being too good. Every villain afterward, Jordan Chase, Travis Marshall, Oliver Saxon, just couldn't compete. Even Resurrection's killers, as creepy as they were, felt like they had to share too much screen time. The villains became less terrifying and more filler. And let's be real, without a strong villain, Dexter just isn't the same. Now let's pause here, because I've got to hit you with a direct question. Do you honestly believe we'll ever get another villain as perfect as Trinity? Drop a comment with yes if you think there's hope, or no if you think Trinity was the last of his kind. Personally, I lean toward no, and that's what makes being a Dexter fan such a cruel game. You're always chasing the high of season 4, but deep down, you know it's gone forever. But hey, speaking of things that are gone forever, here's harsh reality number 3. Almost every original Dexter character is dead. Let that sink in. Deb, gone. Dukes, gone. LaGuardia, gone. Rita, brutally gone. Even Angel Batista, one of the most beloved characters, was killed in Resurrection. Do you realize what that means? Out of the entire original cast, only Vince Masuka is still alive. Masuka, the comic relief guy who spent half his screen time making dirty jokes. And don't get too attached, because Masuka barely even shows up in Resurrection. He's not carrying the torch for Miami Metro. He's a cameo at best, which means the entire original Dexter family, the people we laughed with, cried with, and yelled at our screens for, are all gone. That's the harshest kind of fan grief. Other shows let you imagine what your favorite side characters are doing years later. Dexter, they just kill them all off now. Brace yourself for harsh reality number 4, because this one hits differently. Dexter abandoned Aster and Cody. Yeah, I said it. Remember Rita's kids? The ones Dexter promised to protect after she was murdered in that bathtub. It's been 13 years, and the show hasn't even mentioned them. It's like they got shoved into the same dark hole the writers put Dokes in and just vanished. Think about how insane that is. Dexter is a show about family. His dark passenger, his code from Harry, his bond with Deb, his desperate attempts to raise Harrison. But Aster and Cody, tossed aside like trash bags in the ocean, and we're supposed to just forget. Sorry, no. Every time Dexter has a heart-to-heart with Harrison about being a father, I can't help but think, duty, what about the other kids you literally abandoned? That's not just a missed opportunity, that's character assassination. And you know what makes it worse? That leads straight into harsh reality number 5. Dexter gets away with everything thanks to plot contrivances and lucky breaks. Look, I love this show, but let's be honest. It's held together with duct tape and writer miracles. The number of times Dexter should have been caught is ridiculous. Killing someone in a busy airport and not getting noticed. Check. Leaving a crime scene completely messy and nobody investigates. Check. Faking his way out of the NYPD's suspicion with one quick lie. Double check. I swear, sometimes it feels like the dark passenger isn't Dexter. It's the writers protecting him. And as fans, we play along because we want him to succeed. But deep down, we know the truth. Dexter survives not because he's a flawless killer, but because the plot bends over backwards to keep him alive. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. Now, let me loop you back to one of the most controversial moments in Dexter history. You already know where I'm going with this. The ending of New Blood. Oh yeah, here comes harsh reality number 6. Dexter. New Blood may have ruined the franchise's ending forever. Because here's the deal. Killing Dexter was always the logical way to end his story. He's a serial killer. He can't just ride off into the sunset. He had to face justice, one way or another. But the way New Blood did it, Harrison shooting his father in the chest, fans hated it. It wasn't just divisive, it was catastrophic. And now, because of that backlash, the people running Dexter may never risk killing him again. Think about it. If you're a network executive, are you really going to risk another outrage by ending the show with Dexter's death? No. You'll milk Resurrection and Original Sin as long as possible, keep him alive, keep the fans watching, and in doing so, Dexter will never get the ending he deserves. That's the cruel irony of New Blood. It tried to give Dexter a final chapter, but in doing so, it may have erased the possibility of any true ending at all. Alright, let's keep peeling back the layers of Dexter's blood-stained truth. We've already faced 6 harsh realities, but the last 3, they might be the deadliest of them all. Here comes harsh reality number 7. Modern Dexter is terrified of taking risks. Think back to the original run. Season 1 was a gamble from the start. Imagine pitching that show in the mid-2000s. Yeah, so the protagonist is a charming serial killer who works for the police and dismembers people in his free time. That wasn't just bold, that was insane. But it worked. It was fresh, original, risky television. Even New Blood, for all its flaws, took risks. Killing off Dexter in the finale. That was a nuclear option. Fans hated it, sure, but you can't say it wasn't daring. Compare that to what we're getting now. Resurrection and Original Sin. Both shows are fun. Both are entertaining. But let's be honest. They're playing it safe. They're recreating the early seasons of Dexter instead of pushing the envelope. Dexter back to his classic persona. Check. Harrison being rebranded as the good son. Check. Cameos from old favorites like Dokes and Trinity. Triple check. It all feels like a highlight reel of the franchise's greatest hits, a Spotify playlist of nostalgia. But where's the boldness? Where's the gamble? Where's the creative risk that could either blow up in their face or change television forever? And I'll admit it. I eat it up. I love watching Resurrection feel like old school Dexter again. But here's the forbidden knowledge no one wants to say out loud: safe Dexter won't last. You can only recycle the old magic for so long before the audience starts to feel it. It's like reheating leftovers. Good the first time, tolerable the second, disappointing the third. Eventually, you've just got cold pizza and regret. Which brings us straight to harsh reality number 8. Modern Dexter is completely reliant on the original show's legacy. New Blood tried to step away, but it collapsed under the weight of its own ending. Now, every new Dexter project is shackled to the past. Original Sin, a prequel. Resurrection, a sequel stuffed with cameos, references, and callbacks. Even the villains in Resurrection didn't stand on their own. They had to share the spotlight with Batista's shocking return, with Trinity's ghost still looming, with Miami Metro's shadow. It's like the writers are afraid we won't care unless they dangle the old toys in front of us. And let me ask you something. Does Resurrection really work without the nostalgia factor? If you strip away Batista, Dokes, Trinity, and Brian Moser, are you still hooked? Or is it the comfort of seeing old ghosts that keeps us watching? Be honest. Drop a comment below. I want to know if you think Resurrection stands on its own, or if it's just surfing the wave of Dexter's golden years. Personally, I think Resurrection has sparks of originality. The multiple killer angle was intriguing. The New York setting gave us a fresh backdrop, but the harsh truth remains: these shows are leaning so heavily on Dexter's legacy, it's like they don't trust themselves to walk on their own. And as a fan, that terrifies me more than any on-screen kill. And now we arrive at the 9th and final harsh reality, the one that still feels like a stab wound, the one that keeps me up at night. Dexter Original Sin's cancellation hurt more than any finale ever could. Original Sin was the first time in years that Dexter felt truly alive. A young Dexter, raw and inexperienced. Harry still alive, still shaping the code. A fresh cast, fresh energy, fresh storytelling. It wasn't just a prequel. It was forbidden knowledge unlocked, the missing puzzle piece of how Dexter became Dexter. And fans responded. Millions tuned in. It pulled people onto the higher tier of Paramounts with Showtime. The buzz was electric. It was peak Dexter Reborn. And then they killed it. Cancelled. Just like that. No second season, no continuation. They gave us a taste of the origin story we always wanted, and then ripped it away like Harry taking away Dexter's knives. Do you realize how cruel that is? After decades of begging for a prequel, they finally gave it to us, and it actually delivered. And then they buried it alive. That's the ultimate harsh reality of being a Dexter fan. Even when the show gets it right, even when we finally get the thing we've been dreaming of, the network takes it away. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Dexter teaches us that nobody really gets away clean. And as fans, we don't either. We suffer through bad finales, cancelled spin-offs, abandoned kids, and nostalgia rehashes. Loving Dexter is like loving Dexter himself. You know he's toxic, you know he's broken, but you can't stop coming back for more. So, let's circle back to you, watching this right now. Do you agree with these 9 harsh realities, or do you think I'm being too brutal? Which one hurt you the most? The downfall after season 4, the abandonment of Aster and Cody, or the death of Original Sin? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see where the fandom stands. And hey, if you've made it this far, you're officially part of the Dark Passenger Club. That means one thing: you have to subscribe to Breakdown Epic. Not just because we're diving into forbidden Dexter knowledge every week, but because, let's be honest, you don't want to be left out when we expose the next shocking twist in this franchise. Before we wrap, let me lighten the mood. Imagine being Masuka right now. He survived everyone else, only to be completely irrelevant. Somewhere out there, he's probably cracking an inappropriate joke about how lucky he is, and none of us are laughing. Poor guy. And one last thing, remember when people said Deb falling in love with Dexter was the worst decision ever? Yeah, it turns out, the harshest reality of all is that maybe, just maybe, that wasn't even in the top 5 mistakes this franchise has made. Let that sink in. So, to all my fellow Dexter fans, we're in this together. We've survived bad finals, retcons, cancellations, and plot contrivances. And yet, we keep watching, because deep down we're addicted to the code, to the hunt, to the story of a monster who somehow makes us root for him. Stay sharp, stay suspicious, and never forget, the harshest reality of all is that being a Dexter fan means you'll always want more, and you'll never quite get it.